More and more of you know that the money lent to you by your banker is created and then destroyed when you make repayments. Each time I'm asked the following question: since I'm paying back the money I borrowed plus interest, then at the end of the game, since the money I pay back is destroyed, it's inevitably the banker who has all the money in his pocket. And it's true that it seems logical, but in fact it's not at all, because at the heart of this paradox there is a concept that we don't often handle: recursion. Come on, let's go. Let's start with a simple example. When you pay your credit card, you often use the Visa system. This is an acronym, a sign that stands for Visa International Service Association. The word Visa is used to define itself. Yes, this is exactly what your French teacher forbade you to do when you were in high school. Recursion is simply that, using a concept that calls upon itself in a process. You can represent it graphically with images like this. In literature, this is called a mise en abîme. Does the movie Inception ring a bell? The hero is confronted with realities intertwined with each other, and in the end, we end up getting lost because we don't really know where we are anymore. Well, all this is to tell you that recursion is everywhere, and it works. The world works very well and coherently with recursion. But then, economically, what does a banker have to do with it? Let's imagine a village with 11 inhabitants, 10 craftsmen, a field hand, a miller, a baker, a stock breeder, a farmer, a woodcutter, a butcher, a miner, a blacksmith, a horse trainer, a violin maker, and finally a guy who doesn't know how to do anything useful but who has studied. The others jokingly call him the nerd, and he lives on handouts. They are used to sharing what they make, but the system is complicated and they would like to have money, because in the next village everything is easier with money. It's easier to keep track of accounts, it's easier to know who owns how much in case of conflict, and it's easier to do each other favors because you have an objective measure. In short, money seems very practical. The villagers discuss amongst themselves to figure out who is able to make this famous money so useful for their neighbor. Not a bad guy, the nerd tells them that he knows how to make money. He's willing to make it for them, but on 3 conditions. They agree to give it all back at the end of the year because it will be a loan. The villagers will have to pay him a 10% interest rate because he is tired of living on handouts. Finally, the whole village will have to call him Mr. Banker rather than the nerd because he is fed up with being made fun of all the time. The villagers accept the proposal of the new Mr. Banker. So the banker goes down to the basement and prints 11,000 monetum. He lends 1,100 M to everyone. The craftsmen accept. From this moment on, everything is simpler. All objectives in the village can be priced in monetum. Whatever each craftsman produces, they can sell for monetum. They can store this money and spend it later or do whatever they want with it. The simplicity of trade has arrived in the village, and it is happiness. At the end of the year, everyone is happy and the banker comes back to say, "Now you give me the money back." As it was agreed from the beginning, everyone complains but gives the money back. Everyone has arranged during the year to have 1,100 monetum by December 31st, so as not to be bothered. In front of the village, the banker takes back the bills and burns them in front of everyone. The village starts to scream, "How can one burn something so useful as money? You have to be as stupid as a nerd to do that." The banker speaks again. "I created this money in my cellar to lend it to you. As I created it from scratch, it is logical that I destroy it since this money is not the result of any work." After a moment of reflection, the villagers accept the idea that earning money without working is not possible. However, the blacksmith speaks up. "Well, I agree with burning the money that has been created, but still it has done us a lot of good to count things and put money aside for later. Would you mind doing it again? Because I have orders in hand and I need my customers to pay me. And without the money, it's going to get all messed up and everything is going to get stuck." Here is a banker's answer. "Okay, I'm willing to take care of this money thing. However, I asked you for 10% interest on last year's loans. I'm tired of begging for a living, and I'd like you to recognize the value of my work by giving me part of what you produce. So I'm going to lend you 1,100 M each, but you're going to pay me at least a year's interest today. Therefore, I will keep 100 M per person, and you will have 1,000 M to make the year, and I will also have 1,000 M to live on." The villagers agree. At the end of the second year, the banker takes an inventory of all the villagers' accounts. According to you, if we add up the bank accounts of all the craftsmen without taking into account the banker's account, what is the total? I'll give you 3 seconds to pause and think. The answer is 11,000 monetum. And yes, to live during the year, the banker spent his 1000 M at all the craftsmen of the village. So since he has nothing to sell because he produces nothing, all his money went to the craftsmen. The craftsmen pay back their loan of 1100 M, and the 11,000 M borrowed last year is burned again by the banker in the village square. Destroying the money in public is a way of checking that no one has kept any of it aside. He decides to call this celebration the tax audit. But like last year, the banker asks to be paid the interest that was promised to him. This time, everyone understands and immediately asks for a new loan of 1,100 M so that they can start over again for another year while paying last year's interest to the banker. And there you have it. Now you understand why the banker who gets interest on the loans will never have all the money in the village. He is part of the system. The particularity of this perfectly balanced system is that the banker's accounts are always balanced 1 year late. This is the recursiveness of the banking system, and it's okay. It works very well. Well, in reality, we only grant loans for projects, and that's where, in the absence of economic growth, we find ourselves with a little problem of deflation hanging over our heads, but that's another story. Granting loans only to finance an investment poses a problem of pledging the future. Granting a loan means injecting money into the economic system. To repay a loan is to destroy the money you have created. If a company makes a loan that it's not able to repay, this means that money has been injected into the system without being able to destroy it when the repayment, that doesn't happen, would have taken place. In the first instance, it is the bank that destroys the money that has not been repaid by taking it from its own funds. But if the bank goes bankrupt, this means that there will be an excess of money in the system, and therefore inflation, or that the money has not been paid back, will have to be destroyed by someone else. And that's called socialization of losses. You destroy the saver's money to restore the balance of the system. I hope you enjoyed this video, which is a little different from the others. Don't hesitate to tell me in the comments what you think of it, and share it around if you want to have others in this style. See you soon for new videos. Ciao!
Thank you so much for watching. If you like my videos, please subscribe and don't forget to hit the bell if you want to be notified of the next episode. And if you want to invest in the stock market over the long term or diversify your financial portfolio, I'm offering you an analysis of the 8 European star stocks to have. Thanks again for watching and have a great day.